is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
A hello of 1 degree.
Hello. Well, let's get back to it.
Oh, Vienna.
Rock and roll!
As cases rise again, a number of European governments have started to reimpose limits on activity. Ranging from Austria's full lockdown, which is upsetting a lot of people in Vienna, very, very upset. I don't know what a Viennese looks like when they're upset. What does a cake look like when it's upset? Austria's a full lockdown, a partial lockdown in the Netherlands, wherever that is, and restrictions on the unvaccinated in parts of Germany, the Czech Republic and Slovakia. Austria is to impose full lockdown. Country has also mandated vaccines for everybody from February the 1st. Got to get your jab. There's a partial lockdown introduced in the Netherlands. It's there already. Limits on home visitors. Working from home is encouraged and public events are scrapped. German ministers say they can't rule out a full lockdown with the decision to be determined by hospitalisation rates. Restrictions are imposed on the unvaccinated in Germany, the Czech Republic and Slovakia. Unvaccinated are banned from restaurants in Germany, but that's okay because they serve German food. The Belgium ICU, Intensive Care Unit. Oh, I better got that right.
Correct.
The Intensive Care Unit coordinator in Belgium says there's an increased risk that the country is going to have to resort to triage. I had to look that up. It means a rationing of treatment. As cases mount there, France's Emmanuel Macron says he thinks that levels of vaccines will be enough to avoid future lockdowns. Britain, meanwhile, has a higher infection rate than pretty much everywhere else in Europe, and nothing here so far. We just have to rely on the expert handling of the virus by our own government. We're doomed. Right, some texts and messages and such from last night. This one from Mary says, I agree that we'd be better off with the proportional representation. Unfortunately, that would require another referendum. No, it wouldn't. Why? Don't ask the people what they think, because the danger is they might tell you. She says, if the great British public failed to grasp the fundamentals of Brexit, what are the chances of them getting to grips with the pros and cons of PR? I'm just a bit worried, says Mary. At first she was afraid, now she's petrified. This text from Kath Theth. Slugs sometimes come in through the cat flap in my kitchen door. Honestly, I'm not joking, she says, grim. Why do slugs climb? What's that about? You put a pot out, it doesn't matter how big the pot is. A slug sees a pot, which to a slug must look like a mountain. I mean, say you've got a 3-foot pot outside, and a slug comes up to it, it must look like Snowdonia. And all a slug thinks is, I'm going to get to the top of that. I'm going to leave all of this fresh, juicy vegetation, and I'm going to climb that vertical cliff face to see if there's anything on top. Idiots. This text from Anonymous, who does text in a lot, says, buyer's remorse. How about voter's remorse? Yeah, how about voters' remorse there, Bodge?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah. A text from James says, drawing on other stories today, I only learned that it was technically illegal to play a game on your phone while driving a car, as the loopholes don't seem to cover that. Is that true? As these loopholes are being obviously tightened, ministers remain in the employment of private business that no doubt affect and reflect the high-level decisions for personal monetary gain seems reasonable. Did that make sense? He was just generally complaining.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Well, let's start with the drivers thing. Drivers are soon going to face £200 fines and 6 points on their licence if they do so much as touch their phone at the wheel.
What?
Tougher laws, taking effect early next year, are going to make phone use while driving illegal in almost all circumstances. Touching the screen, browsing the internet, taking a photograph or playing a mobile game will all be covered by a ban next year. Well, how's it not covered by a ban now? I see people, I've seen this on several occasions, people driving along, not slowly either, weaving through traffic while watching a television programme on their phone, which is glued to their dashboard. Watching a TV programme. Have you can believe that. Morons. We're surrounded by morons. You can't touch the screen, browse the internet, take a photograph, or play a mobile game early next year. So if you want to do that, then get it in now, while it is apparently still legal. As, by the way, also going to be banned, scrolling through a music playlist. But what if Ed Sheeran starts playing? You can surely touch your phone to do something about that.
No.
Very strict. The stringent rules will also apply when stopped at a traffic light or stuck in traffic. Well, that's ridiculous. You can't stop Ed Sheeran coming out your car stereo, even if you're stopped at the lights. You've got to just sit there and take it.
Oh, no.
The only significant exception is that drivers will still be able to use their phone as a sat-nav as long as it is secured in a holder, and they'll also be able to do hands-free calling. OK, well, you know what? Here is the news. You are not in control of your vehicle if you are mucking around with your sat-nav. It's a screen. It's on your phone. What's the difference between gawping at a map and choosing a non-Ed Sheeran-based music selection? The changes strengthen existing laws which prohibit texting or calling while driving. Well, you know what? I'd say that making a hands-free call is about as bad as one where you press the phone to your head. It doesn't really matter how you're hearing it. You're not paying full attention anymore. Miles can go by if you're having an intense conversation with somebody and you haven't, and you put the phone down and you realise, oh, blimey, I'm not where I thought I was. Because you haven't really been paying attention to the road. Hands-free calling. As, by the way, I mean, it's not quite as bad, but it's pretty bad to have a conversation with a person in the car. We want total silence. Because if there's one thing that we know about the human race is that we can't drive, even when we have all of our faculties concentrated on the task at hand. The sooner we get driven around by robots, the better.
Affirmative.
Transport Secretary Grant Shapps said, the transport expert Grant Shapps. He said that the changes would make it easier to prosecute drivers who ignore the rules. He said too many deaths and injuries occur while mobile phones are being held. By making it easier to prosecute people illegally using their phone at the wheel, we are ensuring that law is brought into the 21st century while further protecting all road users, says Grant Shapps, transport expert. Well, you know what, Grant Shapps, transport expert, if you really want to protect all drivers, start arresting people for tailgating. Might be a good idea. Or undertaking. Or blasting through a roundabout like it's not there. Or racing through traffic like they're Tom Cruise in a Mission Impossible film. But you can't, can you, Grant Shapps, because you ain't got the police persons. Because the Conservatives have lost 20,000 police persons since they came to power and 22,000 police support staff, and they've lost half our police stations and half our magistrates' course, and they've slashed legal aid, so even if they did catch them doing something they shouldn't have oughta, they still wouldn't be able to prosecute them. So, given all of that, how will they find these miscreants? And, of course, as usual, the answer to everything is cameras.
Oh, fabulous.
More surveillance. It's the regime's answer to everything. Highways England has trialled the use of high-definition cameras to take pictures of motorists through their windscreens while they're picking their noses, which is also going to be against the law. I mean, they will put them on gantries. So they say. That is if they can find a space on the gantries between the speed cameras and the average speed cameras and the traffic cameras and the number plate recognition cameras and the smart motorway cameras. Kodak hasn't got so many cameras. Here's a novel idea. Fix the potholes in the road if you want to make us safer. And arrest everyone driving through Streatham on a Friday night would also make us safer. I don't know what it is about Streatham, but people go full-on berserk when they drive through it. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. On the subject of driving, here's a call in Ruislip. Hello, Colin.
Hi, Nick. You're on form tonight.
Thanks.
So if you get caught touching your phone while driving, you get nicked. So if you had an accident, what were you doing? I was getting the CD out of the glove box, reading the labels, putting it into my CD player and selecting the track. There's no law that says you can't do that.
Right, probably not, no.
So, but you can't just stop Ed Sheeran with one push of your finger, but you can do all that.
Yeah. You can take your jumper and your... you can change your underwear while you're driving in the fast lane of the motorway at 180 miles an hour. As long as you don't touch your phone, you'll be perfectly fine.
And put your makeup on as well.
Well, yeah. You would look a lot better with a tremendous amount of makeup, Colin. Do you mind if I say that?
No, I probably would, but I need my phone to look at myself to see I've got it all right, though.
That is true.
Wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to put on too much because then you'd look ridiculous. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. This another one from last night. I've got quite a few of these. Got to wipe them up. Text from James says, drawing on other story... Wait, no, I've read that. That's how I got into the whole driving thing. Thanks a lot, James. You've delighted us enough. This text from Tom says, I don't understand why people in the north are moaning about HS2. It only takes £100 and nearly 3 hours to travel from Leeds to Birmingham. Then they can save 20 minutes by getting to London. You only know they're not going to do it when the regime says that they're going to do it. You only know it's up when the regime says it's down. Ain't that right, Bodge? This says, hi, Nick. I spent 5 years hearing about we were right to leave the EU because it's undemocratic. When the Queen dies, the same people are going to spend 5 years insisting we need an unelected head of state, says Chris. Yeah, it's worse than that. An unelected head of state who was chosen by an invisible space wizard.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Hello.
This text from last night says, Duncan Smith, as in Ian middle name Smith, as I call him, and I am corrected. It says Duncan Smith is actually a surname, it's just not hyphenated. Ah, he was so poor he couldn't afford a hyphen. He says some people choose to drop the first half of their double-barreled name, such as George Completely Eustace. I had no idea. Completely Eustace. Huh. Let's have concert. Hello, Sean.
Hello, mate. How are you doing?
Yes, good, thanks.
I'm a bit depressed tonight,
Oh,
mate.
no.
Stop whining.
Go ahead.
Jesus' birthday might be on hold again, I reckon.
No.
They've got to close the borders to Europe as soon as possible, because it will spread like
Like a virus.
Anyway.
Like a virus, it'll spread.
You know what I mean? I think we're up the creek, mate.
Well, as long as we've got a paddle.
You know, you've got a half-wit in charge that won't even close the borders when it first started. We need to close the borders now.
I think that's a little bit generous. A half-wit? Maybe a third?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
I think we need to close the borders now as soon as possible, mate.
Right. I think, well, we have left Europe, so we have taken back control of our borders, so it should be a piece of cake. All right, thanks a lot, Sean. Be afraid. Be very afraid. This tweet says, what does it say about a former president who essentially published a picture book instead of an autobiography? That's right. That's Donito Mussolini.
Oh, shut up!
Yeah. But I published a picture book instead of an autobiography, says Anise. Anise says, I thought he knew words.
I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words.
Not only does he know words, he has the best words. What an idiot. What kind of a moron would vote for him? Oh, yeah. This tweet says, Trump is promoting a book full of photos, which pretty much means no writing. Perfect for his fan base, most of whom are illiterate.
I love the poorly educated,
says Jez. Very offensive, Jez. And, this, another one from Anonymous. Who is this person? Says, You've just moved it about. I'm trying to read it. Stop moving it. It says, hi, Nick. Will we get a free hairpiece and product with Trump's photo book? Yeah, I think you've probably got enough product.
You don't need to put all of that product in your hair. You just don't.
You just don't. Listen to the expert. He's an expert on hair.
Don't be rude.
I'm just giving the facts, Jack. East Yorkshire. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Nick. Yeah, talking about the mobile phone driving regulations that Boris wants to bring in.
Yes.
He said this week, we don't need a specific misogyny hate law because it's covered by other rules.
Right.
So I don't see the need to bring that in. Well, using a mobile phone in any form is covered by not being in control of your vehicle regulation, which is there already. So it already covers that. So could this just be a sort of distraction bomb thrown into...
What's odd? What's odd is that the regime is so really very keen on enacting new laws to cover up for their not acting on the laws that already exist. That's the thing that they love doing the most, is bringing in new laws to cover laws that already exist that they're not actually doing anything about.
They did this with dogs. Dog nicking.
That's right, yeah, dog nicking. Yeah, they're going to make it a crime to steal someone's dog. Yeah, for hot news, it was already a crime to steal someone's dog.
And you could already go to jail for 7 years, so wow. But the other thing I wanted to point out is it's estimated the very top end is that 150 people a year die because of using phones while they're driving, and that's the top end.
Right.
There's 150 people a day dying of COVID.
Yes.
But no masks, or no other regulations imposed.
No masks, no coverage on the news. It's like it's not happening.
When did you last maybe my memory's failing me here, but when did you last hear any politician or scientist say less mingling would result in less disease? That's been dropped completely.
Yeah, it's as though it's not happening. We are in this country, and I think we're alone, really, in the world, in pretending that it's not happening anymore. We're over that, and so we've stepped nimbly over. What is it? 150,000 dead people. Well done, Bodge. Excellent work. And we're pretending that none of the last year and a half or 2 years, whatever it is, has actually happened.
And 150 a day is another 50,000 by the end of the year.
150 a day is an entire commercial airliner smashing into the ground every single day. And it's not being reported on the news. Nobody seems to be remotely bothered. The small protections that you can use that won't really cost you anything in your freedom or in your pocket book, people they're just completely ignoring it.
And as you say, they nimbly move on to mobile phones when you're driving and distracting us with immigrants. And it's Rwanda, then we're going to send them to South Pacific, then it's going to be Albania.
Albania, that's great.
It's just distraction bomb.
All the time, yeah. It's the way to keep us distracted and divided. Yeah, Albania. That was my favourite one of the week. Yeah. It says the government, Priti Patel, and all the rest of them, Dominic Raab. Yeah, we're going to send all of our refugees to Albania. And Albania woke up and said, "What?" They said no, and furthermore, no. Yeah, stop picking on Albania, Boris. I bet you couldn't even find it on a map. All right, thanks a lot, Mike. Cheers, mate. 0345 6060 973. Right, people having a go at Donny. Poor Donny. Getting a book out. A Christmas book. Because that's what Jesus would want. This says, if you say we have to get rid of the House of Lords often enough, they make you a lord. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah. Exactly. They stymie that at the source. And finally from last night, Bruce says, have you played James O'Brien's Mystery Hour board game yet? I'm stuck on question 32. How come Bodger Johnson is still Prime Minister? Any ideas? Any ideas, Bodge? No. No is the answer to that question. That is not question 32, is it? I have not seen the game. I've heard of it, but I have not seen it. No, I have not had the pleasure. Those slugs climb your massive plant pots. They have the Edmund Hillary complex. They climb it because it's there. As for snails, they are just posh French immigrant slugs, and I have no time for them, says Tony. Well, that is a good point there, Tony. French snails. No! Proper British slugs we want. Not those French ones that carry their house around on their back. I mean, what's that about? I just thought I'd shut up there so you can glory in the beauty that is that tune. Isn't it fantastic? Not a dreadful dirge at all. Why would anybody think that? An email from Tesla Trev, who says, so, drivers must concentrate 100% on driving, a bit like having one job. One job? Yeah. Tesla people. The superior smirk was wiped off their face. Tesla drivers say they've been locked out of their cars after an outage struck the car maker's app. Isn't that terrible? You know, I don't know about this, but apparently in the bright, shiny new world of tech that can talk to each other, the Tesla app is used as a key by drivers to unlock and start their cars. They start their cars with an app on their phones. What could possibly go wrong? Dozens of owners posted on social media about seeing an error message. Message said, "Warning, warning!" An error message on their mobile app that was preventing them from connecting to their vehicles. As in, getting inside. Connecting. Are we connecting on a personal level? You know how I connect with my vehicle? With a key. It's this newfangled device that you put in a lock and you turn manually using your hand. Can you imagine that, kids?
No.
Apparently there's a secondary method of getting in your car, but that's not much use if you aren't carrying it. You Tesla people. I mean, we've got doorbells and locks and fridges and central heating and TVs and stereos and lights and everything that you can possibly imagine that is connected to each other and we rely on completely. And it all goes kaput when you haven't got a signal or the Wi-Fi goes down or you lose your phone. If you lose your phone, you'll be locked out of your car and you won't be able to get home. And even if you could, you wouldn't be able to get in your house. And even if you could, you'll freeze to death because you can't turn on your heating. And you won't be able to call for help because you've lost your phone. There's a hole in my bucket. Dear Liza, dear Liza. Rock and roll! I've got lights in my living room, about sort of 5 or 6 of them. And it's great when it works, but it's Wi-Fi dependent. I've got a little switch which is magnetized, and you just stick it on the side of your fridge or whatever. And when you press a button, all your lights come on. Like magic. But in the likely circumstance that your Wi-Fi goes down, you're sitting there in darkness. And there's nothing you can do about it. The whole world's gone insane. I don't know. I think I've got enough of those things. I don't want any more. No more connected devices. Not for me. No, I'm not just saying no. I'm saying no thank you. I mean, good manners don't cost nothing, do they?
Be polite!
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
What number are you calling from?
0345 6060 973. Tweet from Alan says, the problem with starting a Tesla using your phone is that you get fined for using your phone when you're in your car. So now what? That's a good point. I mean, if you're going to get fined for sitting in your car in a stationary position, but you're in a Tesla and the only way you can start your car is to use your phone, Well, you might as well just drive yourself straight to jail. Maybe they have an auto facility in the Tesla brain to do that. Just present yourself straight to jail for punishment. Let's have Newham. Linda.
Hello.
Linda.
I'm fed up. I've got another car. I had to get one because of you, Les.
Yeah.
I don't like this electronic button. All I want is a key. And I'm still trying to work out how it works. And I bought a radio, quite a nice radio CD player. But you've got to be a computer scientist to use it.
A CD player? That's ancient.
And a radio all in one.
Yeah, that's ancient technology there, Linda. A
I know,
CD player? What's that?
Well, it's connected to this modern radio. All I want is a knob you turn for the sound and a knob you turn for the station.
Right.
And maybe a switch between radio and CD.
Yeah.
But I still can't work it.
You got to get some smart aleck 10-year-old to figure out how to turn on the Lighthouse Family or whatever it is you want to listen to. What do you want to listen to there, Linda?
Oh, I listen to all different music. I like the Beatles. I like reggae. I like classical. I like all different stuff.
Right.
Motown as well. But my neighbour, he's bought a new car. Yeah, and the car talks to him.
What?
The car talks to him as he walks up to the car.
What does it say?
Well, it says, "Hello, Maureen," and his name's Dave.
Does it say, "You're not going out looking like that, are you?" Maureen? Where did he get Maureen from?
Well, it must have been the previous owner's
name. Right. Maureen, you're looking a bit frumpy today.
Yes, got long hair. Apparently this car recognises you as you walk up.
Well, it's not very good at doing that, is it?
And it is an old wrinkly rocker.
Right.
So.
Well, he doesn't look anything like Maureen. Yeah, I'm with you. I want a key that you stick in a slot and you turn it. What's wrong with that?
That's all I want. I wish they would start making cars for older people like me who just want a key. That's all I want.
Right.
My other neighbour, he has to press a button to put the handbrake on.
Oh, see, that's no good.
No. I tell you what I worry about, which I probably shouldn't worry about. But if I ever crashed into a river and my doors were locked...
Yes.
It'd probably mess up the electrics, and I probably wouldn't be able to get out.
No, you wouldn't, because it's because apparently winding down a window is beyond the ability of humankind in the new millennium.
If all this internet goes
can you imagine if that was that way in your house? That every window in your house required a button to open it. I mean, you wouldn't even think of such a thing unless you were a billionaire and you were living in some sort of fancy penthouse. Yeah. So why? You're sitting right next to the window. It's not like it's on the other side of the car. No. It's the one right there. Why can't you wind it down? You need a button. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
So I want them to make cars like that again.
Yeah.
And make life simple.
You want one that doesn't have a flashing indicator light. You want one that flips up a little sign out of the woodwork on the side of the car.
Well, I never flash people to say thank you because I'm frightened of messing up the electrics. So I just sort of wave to say thank you.
The amount of times that I've tried to flash people to come out of a side road and I've got the wrong side of the steering wheel, so I've not flashed them. I'm washing my windscreen instead, and so I'm sitting there thinking, if I just sit here and do it again, then they'll think that I meant that.
Yeah, I know. It's a crazy world, isn't it?
It certainly is, Linda. Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot.
Right.
Cheers, my dear. Ta-da. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, a key. And everybody under the age of 30 is going, what's a key, Grandad? It served us well for a good long time. And now you've got a little button that may or may not work. And when it doesn't work, big problem, huge. I think it costs like 300, 400 quid to get a new button to open your blooming car. What? It is about that, isn't it? Why? Why does it cost that much? That's ridiculous. The only reason it costs that much is because there's absolutely no other way you can buy one. You have to go to the manufacturer. It's a monopoly. Once you buy your car, you can't get your key anywhere else. And don't even think about trying to get in without disabling the alarm. Oh, my God. You'll wake up the neighbourhood. Your car will start calling you Maureen, just out of spite. What kind of a car speaks to you as you walk up? This text from Graham says, please play the Numbers Man sound clip. It really cheers me up. The Numbers Man. What, you mean Zaphod?
86%, 5 million, and of course, over 50%. And what I'm saying is
yes,
an additional 162 million. And that comes, by the way, on top of the 500 million.
No.
36 billion,
wow.
Of which 5.4 billion, and probably one of the biggest of 500,000 of over 16,000.
Goodness
massive,
me.
500,000.
Really?
And 2,
3,
11,
oh, close.
1.7 billion, and then a 1.4 billion, 250,000,
yes.
6 million.
Right.
Basically 3.1 billion.
Wow.
Right, now that's a big number, and that's exactly what I'm delivering.
Thanks for delivering. You're the best, Zaphod. Stephen Upminster says, talking of apps and lightning, do you remember the happy analogue days when the studio lights would go out every hour and you had to wave your hands in the air like you just don't care? Those happy days when, by the way, you're doing the A to Z again this year, is the highlight of Jesus' birthday week for us. Yes, I will. The A to Z of 2021 starts at 10 p.m. on Christmas Eve. Isn't it exciting?
No.
Yes, it is. They're my favourite shows of the year. They fly by like life has sped up. The game is we construct a list. Now, a lot of newspapers and magazines and TV shows and radio shows and stuff, they'll have a list of the year, but it's usually compiled by one or at most two people, and it's very incomplete and highly subjective. It's no kind of list. I've been making the definitive list of whichever year we've been in for many, many years now, and I do believe that the lists are still available on in book form on Amazon. They're digital book form, which means that we cut down fewer trees and save the planet. You're welcome.
Thank you.
And this year, just like every other year, it's one letter per hour. So we'll start with A at 10 p.m. on Christmas Eve. And then it's really quite remarkable how fast it goes. You're busy scratching your head trying to think of an A, and then already we'll be on the B's. And then I'll make the list. And I've been writing a sort of like a summary of the year as the year has been going on. I've been doing homework this year. Can you believe that?
No.
Yeah, I've been doing a sort of like what happened this year summary. And I'll stick it in a book and I'll squirt it up the internet. And I'll put it out at the cheapest price point that they allow. About a third of the price of a cup of coffee. Something like that. I'm giving it away. But the game starts 10 p.m. Christmas Eve and goes every night until New Year's Eve. And that's where it stops. One letter per hour in the intervening period. Apart from the very, very last hour, which will be from midnight on New Year's Eve to 1 a.m., which is all the difficult letters at the end of the alphabet. They've all been shunted towards the end of the alphabet so that people will forget about them. X, Y, Z. W, X, Y, Z. What comes before W? I have to start from the beginning. I can't go from halfway and then get to the beginning. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. See? Just as I predicted. This text from Jonathan in Leatherhead says, I bought a smart light bulb the other day thinking it would make my life easier. However, it sometimes takes 2 or 3 minutes to open the app and connect to the Wi-Fi, so I could have just used the switch. Yeah, it's not everything that changes is an improvement on what went before. We like to convince ourselves that it is, that everything is much, much easier. But what you'll find is that you may actually spend 10 times longer doing and getting the same result as you used to before you went high tech. Like communication, for instance. I know I've said this over and over and over and over and over again.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
But kids, get your faces out of your phones and stop waggling your fingers at your screens and get on with your life. Particularly if you're in a gym and you're just using a piece of equipment to sit on, it's like your phone stool. People used to have their own phone table, and they put it in the hall where the table used to be, where the phone used to be. There used to be wooden on one end, where the phone sat, and a cushioned part on the other end, and a shelf underneath for a phone book. Hey kids, ever seen a phone book?
No.
It's huge. And now, instead of having going to IKEA or whatever and buying a phone table, kids simply go to a gym and use all of the equipment in there as a phone table. They just sit there, scrolling away, gawping at the screen on their phone for an hour. Have you got much to do on that? Yeah. And then they go straight back to looking at their phone again. Morons. We're surrounded by morons. But my point was going to be, what was I talking about? Oh yeah. My point is that communicating with people by text message takes about 10 times as long as, actually phoning them up and speaking to them using your mouth. It drives me to distraction. The briefest phone message that you could get done in about 30 seconds by just talking to somebody can take all night long. And somebody will ask you a question and you reply to it and you put your phone down thinking that's the end of it. But no, here comes a comment about your comment, and your phone goes bing, so you have to pick it up and look at it and see what it is, and then and you say, as brief as possible, you say thanks or whatever, and you put your phone down thinking that's the end of it. And is it the end of it?
No.
No, of course not, because here goes your phone again. And you can't not look at it, like Pavlov's dogs. So, not everything is an improvement. Not everything is an advance on what went before. Some things had absolutely nothing wrong with them. Stick to it. Plus, it won't cost you 300 quid to get a new key for your car.
Nick Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Right, so what are we doing?
Given we're doing a radio show, shall I tell them about the podcast that we do?
Yeah.
We do a podcast together, Carol McGiffin and I. I think you'll find it amusing. It's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol, in which Carol McGiffin and I gas away like we just don't care. And we have a right laugh doing it, but the actual it of it is to solve people's problems. Now, if you want us to solve your problem, send it to the following address, nickandcarol@global.com. That's nickandcarol@global.com. And prepare for a certain amount of satisfaction.
Oh, right, yeah.
Ask for it by name on an internet near you. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? Text from Ray says, how will this new anti-mobile law affect Uber drivers? It's a good point. They cancelled on me the other night. What? Yeah, they were coming and they were coming and they were coming, and then they weren't coming anymore. Stranded. Damn it! All alone. Never mind. You know me, I never complain.
Stop whining.
Email from Martin says, I love hot dripping on toast. Dripping. Oh. Dripping comes... and my question was going to be, what's that? And here comes the answer. Do you want to hear the answer?
No.
No, you probably don't. It says, dripping comes from the fatty, unusable parts of a cow and pig carcass.
Disgusting.
Oh. I mean, that sounds like the sort of thing that you would eat in times of privation, like war. Dripping on toast. I've heard of it, but it's not something that I would... butter not available? Dripping. Yeah, I'd like a piece of toast with the fatty, unusable parts of a cow and pig carcass, please. Oh. Hey, did you hear about George Completely? You know George Eustace? No! Yes, that's him. Well, George Eustace, the actual Environment Secretary, if you can believe that, he said that working mothers can help plug staff shortages at abattoirs left by an exodus of migrant labour. You know, the labour that used to work here before they were persuaded that up is down and that we would all be better off outside of an organisation that we trade the most with and make bad deals with New Zealand and Tuvalu. George Eustace said the meat processing industry is altering its shift patterns in a bid to attract British staff after many of the Eastern Europeans that it had relied on for more than a decade left the country. You believe that? I mean, we have been yelling at them for 5 years to get out of our country, and then they left. Very unpatriotic. Companies are apparently reverting to older practices and undoing a relatively recent shift to migrants, which happened in the last 20 years, as the European Union expanded eastwards. Speaking of Parliament's Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, Mr Eustace said abattoirs used to have shifts that would accommodate parents who had children of school age. And we're starting to see that adjust back. So we have to have some confidence that it will be possible to get some people from this country back into these sorts of roles because they have done it in the recent past. Well, here's an interesting fact, Mr. Useless. People don't want to work in abattoirs. They just don't. I mean, we used to do all sorts of things. We used to go down the mines and get emphysema. I mean, that's in our recent past. Let's go back to that again, yes? How about you do it, George Useless? Making the hours better doesn't change the fact that you'll be cutting up bodies and you'll be ankle deep in blood and guts.
Disgusting.
But don't take my word for it. Tony Goodger of the Association of Independent Meat Suppliers said, shift patterns can absolutely be changed to enable more people to come in throughout the day, which would potentially make more working mothers be able to join the sector. But it's unlikely that's going to provide a solution to the labour shortage. Yeah, because they don't want to do it. See, that's the problem of all of those people that came over and took our jobs, is that they didn't. They were pleasingly doing the jobs that we didn't want to do, jobs that were vital to this country ticking over. And now they're gone, those jobs ain't getting done no more. Oh well, never mind, it's only life. Mr Useless was speaking as the government battles to ease labour shortages across the food and logistics industry following a slowdown in deliveries that has left some gaps on supermarket shelves. I haven't actually noticed many gaps lately. Maybe the supermarkets are just rather wisely filling gaps with other things that they do have a lot of. Oh, people have been talking about a crisp shortage. Shortage of crisps. You know, one of your 5 a day. Crisps, they ain't got none of no more. I am stunned. Staff shortages at abattoirs and on meat processing lines have limited the number of carcasses that they can handle, leading to backlogs. And backlogs at the abattoir means that there's backlogs in the farm. It's meant that they've got nowhere to, farmers ain't got nowhere to send their pigs to be slaughtered. Sorry to break that to you, kids. They actually kill animals for meat. They probably didn't teach that in school. Too upsetting. It's meant there's nowhere for farmers to send pigs to be slaughtered. The National Pig Association said this has so far led to the culling, not killing, of more than 14,000 pigs. God, you're kidding. I didn't know it was that bad. 14,000! What have they done with them? I hope it's not going to be like when mad cow disease came around. You remember the mad cow disease, and they burnt them all in like piles? And because of the weight distribution of your average cow, they put them upside down with their legs in the air. That was the most upsetting part for me personally. And I'm sorry if this sounds selfish, but it's me. Their little legs were in the air, which made it, viscerally obvious that it was a large pile of dead cows being burnt. See, if they managed to put them up the other way around, then from a distance, it would just look like a pile of indeterminate origin. But because their legs were in the air, there was no getting around it. Them's was cows. They should have dug 4 holes in the ground and then inserted the cow, legs first, into the ground and better. The National Pig Association said that so far they've culled more than 14,000 pigs. I'm amazed. How is that not top of the news? 14,000! If only somebody had said something before we decided to kick out all of those people that did the jobs that we didn't want to do. If only someone had said it might not be such a great idea, but not a word was said by anyone. Last month, the Department for Environment, Rural Affairs and Food, but not necessarily in that order, announced that 800 pork butchers would be allowed to come from overseas to work in the UK on a temporary 6-month basis. Tempting, eh? Come back and help the people that have been yelling at you to get out of our country, but only for a limited period before we start yelling at you to get out of our country again. What an opportunity! I can't believe people aren't queuing to get in dinghies to make it over here as soon as possible. And of course there's that pay more refrain from the government that want to hive off its failures onto private enterprise. And companies have offered higher pay. And yet we're still in the soup. Vegetarian soup. Meat soup is off. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nica@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global. Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
He's a great guy. He's a good guy. He's a good person.
Words, more words.
Words. This is another message from Anonymous. It says, "Bloomin' foreigners leaving our country, not doing our jobs." Yeah, that turned around pretty quick, didn't it? Let's have a call in Chingford. Why not? Hello, Pamela.
Good evening.
Pamela.
Right. Now, if they can't get the abattoir workers...
Yeah.
Why don't they ask people if they really do want to eat meat, give them a knife and let them go in and kill them?
Yeah.
I wonder how many people would go vegan.
100%.
Also, the thing is, if it's illegal to use a knife outside,
is it?
How comes it's legal to use a knife in those places? I don't understand that.
Right. Oh, you mean you can't go around stabbing animals, randomly, but you can if they're all lined up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
If you was to stab an animal out in the street,
yeah,
you'd be taken to court.
Yes.
You'd most probably get a sentence.
Yeah, in about, 5 or 6 years, or however long it takes for the legal system of this country to crank its gears, yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is, I've stood outside abattoirs, I won't mention a name, but one in Brentwood. We've spoken to the workers when they've come out of there. Some of them seem to be traumatised or vacant.
From speaking to you?
Well, speaking to us. And they say that they don't want to do those jobs.
Well, who does?
But they can't get any other work.
Right.
Because they haven't got cards or paperwork, so they're being paid cash in hand.
Right, well... Now, you've sort of identified the location of where it is you're talking about, unfortunately, so I have got absolutely no way of verifying that. Please disregard everything that nice lady just said. But I wish you all the best there, Pamela. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, I didn't work in an abattoir, but I worked in a meat pie factory. So we were the place after the abattoir part. The animals had to go through the abattoir before they got to us. Otherwise, they'd just be running about the place and we wouldn't be able to put them in a pie. It would have been havoc. And that turned me just that. Working in a pie factory turned me vegetarian for 20 years. Just seeing, I know I've spoken about this a lot, but if you see the meat in a pie, a little pie, then that's one thing. But if you see what goes in the pie in this great vat on wheels, this wobbly gelatinous goop that gets squirted up a pie, then that's something completely different. And it put me right off. For 20 years, I didn't eat meat. Steve in Whitstable says, this is back to all the connected devices. Says, I had to buy a new washing machine recently. The salesman asked me if I wanted the latest model with Wi-Fi on it. I asked him, why on earth would I want a washing machine with Wi-Fi on it? He said, so you can start it and operate it on your phone. So he says, I told him I've got to walk over to load it. Why would I want to use my phone to start it when I'm standing right in front of it? He said some people find it more convenient. So I bought a non-Wi-Fi twin tub. What's a twin tub? What's a twin tub? What's a twin tub? Oh, he's not paying attention. Never mind. We'll never know. It sounds like something from the 1950s. Does it have a stick in the middle that jiggles back and forth? What do they call those things? A jiggling stick. Or is that Ken Dodd? No, that's a tickling stick. The agitator. Oh, I bet it's called an agitator. I bet I got that right. I am doing very well. Regent's Park. Hello, Vance.
Hi, Nick.
Vance.
Enjoying your show as
Thanks.
usual, Nick. Nick, the big news item this week, of course, has been HS2, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And Grant Shapps presented this new emasculated plan to Parliament with absolute glee. He was dripping with glee. None of the commentators in the media pointed out that it was this same Grant Shapps who announced in summer that 12 countries were being dropped from our red list, including Tristan da Cunha, Ascension Island, and the Faroe Islands. In fact, there were only 5 countries and 7 territories. And here he is in Parliament lying to us again.
Hang on a minute. He was lying. He wasn't lying. He was telling us that they've cancelled HS2 for the people that need it the most, right?
But he was building up all the ancillary things. We're going to do a new high-speed
I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that.
Yeah,
a lot of I'm gonners. Yeah.
Absolutely horrendous. But I've got good news for you, Nick.
You do?
I do have. Second-hand cars have rocketed up in price because of the global shortage of semiconductors,
right,
which caused a drop in new car manufacture.
Yeah.
Now, you've told us, your many fans, that your car is worth £150.
£150?
Well, it's now gone up to 300.
Wow.
I thought I'd give you that
I'm
good news.
in the money. Excellent work. Thanks a lot, Vance. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, I've been thinking about selling it. I don't want to see it go, but all it does is it sits underneath a bag, one of them big car bags. It sits underneath a car bag, and every now and again I turn it on. I don't take it anywhere. I'd say that the tyres have probably got... they're flat on one side. They're practically square now, my tyres, because it hasn't gone anywhere in absolutely ages. What's the point of having it? There is no point in having it, but the thought of selling it, it's like, you've got to go through, you've got to take photographs of it, and then you've got to put it on a website.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
I don't want to. But you aren't going to get any money from it if you don't sell it. So get on with it, boy. This text from Anonymous says, "No, Nick, I can speak my texts." In reference to a conversation I was having with myself some while ago about people, kids mostly, wasting their time, waggling their fingers at their phones instead of, calling up the person that they're communicating with and actually imparting the information that they're, typing with using their mouths. Do you remember when people used to use their mouths? Well, not no more.
What we got here is a failure to communicate.
It takes about 3 hours to ask somebody how they are and what they're doing. All of that vitally important information that kids are passing to each other while they're sitting on gym equipment and preventing anybody else from using it for 3 hours. No, what are you doing? Oh, nothing. You? That. It is, and they are addicted. I know we've talked about this many times before, but I think it is alarming in many, many different ways how addicted kids have become to their phones. Not just kids, really. I mean, grown-ups as well, but particularly kids. And it's kind of depressing watching them. Because it's depressing, it's also just deeply annoying if you're trying to just get in and out of the gym. I mean, some people go to the gym and they spend all day there. Why would you want to do that in that depressing, smelly, clanging place? Every time you go, there's usually some people, and it's always the same people, and they're always there. They're there when you get there, and they're still there when you leave. In and out as quickly as possible, 40, 50 minutes tops. Made all the more difficult because every single piece of equipment has got some kid sitting on it, gawping at their phones. Drives me up the wall. And the information that they're passing on cannot possibly be of any import. I mean, they don't look like they've got an important thought that has ever flitted across their dense foreheads. It's all just reacting to the bell. Your phone goes ping, and you got to pick it up, and there they are. Like, if you told me 10 years ago, 20, 15, any advance on 15? If you told me 15 years ago that the teenagers' number one activity would be typing, I'd have told you you're out of your mind. But here we are. I can speak my texts, says this anonymous person. No, speak your mind by calling the person that you're communicating with. Total waste of time, texts. This tweet from Sol says, VWXYZ, this is about the A to Z of 2021, I was talking about some while ago. VWXYZ. If you get them in order, do you get extra points, he says.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Extra points for getting it in order. Let's have a call in, who's been waiting the longest? Pimlico. Hello, Alex.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Nick, if you mind, I would like to talk about two topics today. One is, I absolutely agree with you. It's all people that are absolutely hypocrites, say foreigners come and take our jobs. Mm-hmm. And they never do this hard work, really hard work, catering, farming. And almost farming is suffering because of lack of staff.
Yep.
And the farmer is suffering lack of staff. Mm-hmm. And all these agricultures, the catering, is because they have not enough staff. And it's all people say, foreigners coming here taking our job. It's simply utter rubbish.
It's pretty alarming when we as a country will not be able to provide food for ourselves. We'll have to import it from Europe.
Yeah, because there's all these people always mooning and whining. They have no clue what they're talking about.
Right.
But the second point I would like to do today, I don't know how you've been around this Covent Garden, Leicester Square, incredibly busy.
Are they?
Yes, everybody was packed. I just want to say, on one hand, it's grateful because everybody business. On the other hand, it seems to be nobody care about COVID-19. I wonder what is going on here. Honestly, it's incredibly busy. Right. You couldn't walk in the pavement.
Mm. Yeah, I still find it a bit alarming when I find myself in crowds. I mean, I've sort of got used to it a bit, but if we were having this conversation about 3-4 months ago, then I was, walking up to work, and suddenly all these people were walking towards me on the pavement, and it just felt, oh my God, get away from me, you diseased people.
No, because because of course everybody try and have a good time, but the problem is now you see now we start from Austria and Germany's numbers rising, and I hope we never get exactly the same level.
Yeah.
But when too many people in one place, I really honestly a little bit scared because too many people in one tiny place like restaurants, coffee shops, or bars. Too many people, especially tonight. I'm really scared, but I hope everything goes well, to be honest.
Alex, I have thought for a longest time that if we think that this will be a smooth transition back to normality, we are kidding ourselves. I just don't see it. I think that it is entirely possible. Nobody knows, of course, until we get there. But I think it's entirely possible that we ain't seen nothing yet.
But do you think are we going to be exactly the same kind of situation, or do you think we will be a little bit all right this winter? What do you think?
Well, if you'd asked me a week ago, I'd have said I think we're probably going to be all right because we seem to have given up on the very notion of there being a pandemic. It's like we're past that, we're over it. It doesn't exist anymore. But now that Austria's locked down and the Netherlands is locking down and Germany is thinking about it, and so I don't see how it can affect them and not us.
Honestly, I have to say, because I'm myself is double jab, but tonight when I see this crowd in central London, honestly, I'm so scared. I hope we will be all right, but it seems to me people absolutely don't give a damn. And then, I hope, honestly. But I said, it's just incredibly busy.
All we have to rely on is the expertise and good governance of the regime.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
I'd say we're doomed.
Oh, if you've mentioned about this cool clown called Boris, God bless us. No chance. We're going to be drowned. If our captain called Boris, we will be absolutely dreadful, honestly. Right. I don't trust this Boris. No chance.
Okay, I don't know what on earth would lead you to that conclusion, Alex, but okay. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Have I taken the break yet? Have I taken the break yet?
Hello?
Have I taken the break yet?
Hello?
Have I taken the break yet? Answer me in English. Have I taken the break yet?
I can't hear you.
Okay. All right, never mind. 0345 6060 973. I honestly don't know whether I've done that. How do you find out? Oh my God, he's going to come in here. This text from Alan says, hey Nick, have you seen the dashboard of a Tesla? It's just a giant phone screen. Well, that is a good point. Have I taken a break yet? Speak.
I was on the phone to someone.
Have I taken a break yet?
I don't know.
We don't know. All right. Never mind. It's only money. Yeah, that's right. The dashboard of a Tesla is just a giant phone screen. I guess there's no way of knowing. I thought that I had. The logs. There's the log.
Well, if you can get back to the usual Zeta screen.
There it is, right there.
Oh, yeah.
Top of hour. So that means no.
No, hit the home button.
Home.
There, the little house.
The home button is a little house. Yes? Have I taken the break yet?
No break.
No break. Thank you. An expert. Finally. See what I have to deal with. But I am a trained professional. As hard as that might be to believe.
This is LBC, leading Britain's conversation. LBC with Nick Abbot.
Everything is going extremely well.
Have I taken a break yet?
Yes.
Thanks. 0345 6060 973. Chris says, I walk my dog every day and I no longer move out of the way of someone coming towards me, head down, looking into their phone. The surprised looks on their faces are a joy to see, says Chris. Well, I'm not sure that that's actually helping, Chris. Be considerate of others.
Be polite.
Text from Zach says, my Alexa device is going deaf. I end up having to scream every night to turn out the bedside light. My neighbour must think I've gone crazy, which is nothing to say about how my poor partner feels, who still hasn't got used to this nightly ordeal when they wake up in a state of panic, says Zach. Alexa, put thermonuclear device on my shopping list. Manchester. Hello, Alan.
Hello.
Alan.
Hi, Nick.
Yes, Alan.
Yeah, I was just wondering about when you told about abattoirs. Did you know that if they got an unhealthy pig, they don't slaughter it. They let it go back to the farm.
If they find an unhealthy pig, they don't slaughter it. They let it go back to the farm. Describe what unhealthy means in this regard.
Like a broken leg or something like that.
A broken leg?
Yeah, I work in one near where I live, and they don't slaughter it; they let it off.
Well, so it can limp away. Why would they not slaughter one with a broken leg?
I've never understood why, but it's true. I work in one, and I work in one, and I was doing my work experience when I was a kid there years ago.
Right.
And they said that if they get an unhealthy pig, they let it off.
Well, unhealthy, I can understand that. Like if it's diseased, if it's diseased or something. Yeah, but not broken leg. I thought if it's a horse, they shoot it if it's got a broken leg, which does seem a bit unreasonable.
Yeah, but pigs, no, they let them off.
Right.
Go back to the farm.
But the farmer doesn't want them, does he? They go back to the farm. What, to live a life of leisure?
Yeah.
Well, I am stunned.
Seriously. No, honestly. I'm not. Pardon the pun, but I'm not kidding you. I'm not pulling your leg.
No. Yeah, you pull my leg too hard, and I'll have to go back to the farm and enjoy myself. All right, thanks a lot, Alan. They get let off and go to a, I don't know, porcine retirement home. What does the farmer do with them when they get back to the farm? He patches them up and sends them back again. We'll never know. This text from anonymous again. Please, can the borders be closed before next Sunday? Will that mean I'll be stranded here in Cyprus? You know what? In that break, I did look up the temperature in Cyprus. There'd be worse places to get stranded. Look at that. Oh, my God. I'll see you at the airport. I want to go right now. Sunny every day for the next 2 weeks. High of 74 degrees. That's about 24 degrees centigrade for people who do European surrender temperatures. 74 or 75 degrees. God, that's like summer in Cyprus. Oh, well, never mind. This email says, all these messages... Oh, this is anonymous. All these messages from me are like those buses on the way to not in service. Yeah. I wondered for a long time where this is. Now that I have my old pension's bus pass, I might catch one and find out why it's such a popular destination. Yeah, not in service. A lot of buses go there. Email from Zach says, my pet mouse Elvis died. He was... Oh, see, I'm not even going to say it. Don't do jokes. Stop with the jokes, people. Bromley. Hello, Susan.
Oh, hi, Nick. Now, don't laugh at me because I know you do like things that are amusing. You were talking about twin tubs earlier.
Yeah. What's a twin tub?
Well, it's a double thing. It's part of it is a washing machine, and the other bit is a spin dryer. And it used to be, as you said, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And my mum used to pull the lead out, so it was outside in the garden, so it didn't make any noise inside. And if she thought she was putting on weight and needed a bit of exercise, she used to sit on the spin dryer.
Oh.
That's one thing.
Is that what she told you she was doing?
No. Well, yes, that's what she told me.
Okay, then.
Right, but while I was holding, you were talking about teenagers and typing.
Yeah.
Well, they do type, but they don't type as you learn to type, not with two hands and the ASDS.
No, just their thumbs. Just bashing their phone screen with their thumbs, aren't they?
It's like thumbs and forefingers, but not actual typing like we learned years ago. But no, I only.
It is still a keyboard, though. It is still a keyboard, though. I mean, some keyboards you can swipe, which I think is better. But the ones that I see, maybe it's a certain type of phone, but they have to actually type out all the letters individually, and so that's what they're doing. They must get thumb ache from doing it all day long.
Yeah, you do have to type all the individual letters.
Yeah.
But us older ones, if we're on a keyboard, we can do it quicker.
Exactly.
We learn to start on the middle line and go up and go down. Yeah.
Can you believe that people are still doing it, but doing it slower and worse than they used to do it, even in the 1930s, for crying out loud? The whole world's gone insane.
Exactly. But on a more sort of serious note, talking about COVID and everything that's happening here, I genuinely believe that we as individuals need to be wearing masks. Because we're not getting any direction from the government.
Yeah.
And I genuinely think that as sensible people, hopefully, we would just start wearing masks again in and out of shops, libraries, theatres, or wherever we're going. That's what I hope.
Well, I'll talk about that in a minute in relation to Sweden. You remember how Sweden was not following any other country in the beginning of this whole virus thing? They were out there on their own. Well, they've had the results are in pretty much about what happened in Sweden. I'll talk about that in a minute. But just on that twin tub thing, so there was actually two tubs in the same machine, or the one tub did two things?
No, there was two tubs.
Two different tubs, right?
Yes, it was one piece. It's oh God, it's hard.
It must have been huge.
No, it wasn't. It was only just a little bit bigger than a normal washing machine,
right?
And it wasn't as.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
This is absolute tosh.
Text from Paul says, what is the record height a slug has managed to climb? That's an excellent question, Paul. Let's ask Mr. Numbers Person.
86%.
86%. Nick, a bus driver who has to go through Streatham 6 times a day, I can confirm that people, namely BMW, Audi, skip lorries, scaffold lorries and Abellio bus drivers are the main culprits, says Mike in Streatham, and a Vivia bus driver. Right, so in other words, everybody else on the road except you. Is that right? Yeah. The correct answer is everybody should get locked up who drives through Streatham apart from me. You know, for the benefit of humankind. I don't know what it is about Streatham, but when you drive through Streatham, you just have to grip the steering wheel more tightly because something berserk is about to happen. Streatham. I don't know what it is about Streatham, but there's just something in the air there. York. Hello, Jan.
Hello, Nick.
Jan.
How are you tonight?
Great, mate.
Good. Now, that lady was just talking about her mother sitting on the spin dryer.
Yeah.
Well, when I was a kid, we had a twin tub, and every time my mother got the washing out and the spin dryer started up, the cat would jump on immediately. He used to love it. He would just sit there, having a good ride.
Well, you'd think it would jiggle its little cat brain.
Well, he used to love it. You know, every time he heard it, start spinning, up he would jump. Yeah, he used to love it.
Well, some animals, they do have... They go out of their way to have what looks like fun. I mean, I know we don't sort of associate that characteristic with animals, but sometimes you do see a behaviour which is only explainable by describing it as fun. Like I can remember there was I used to live in a place where next door they had like a glass extension on the outside of their house with a sloping glass roof, and when it was raining or particularly snowing, you'd see pigeons, and they'd start at the top and just slide down to the bottom. And then they'd fly back up to the top again and slide back down again. There's no other reason that they would do that other than they just were having fun.
Yeah, well, probably they were. You know, why not? Eh?
But it's a bit weird that we associate fun with animals that you don't really think are that intelligent. I mean, I guess cats are pretty smart, but you don't think of them having fun. You think of a purpose to everything they do. You know, if they like chase a ball, or you catch the light on your watch and it puts a little light dot on the wall, they just go berserk for that, don't they? If you move it around, that's just that's hunting behaviour, isn't it? But explain to me a pigeon having a slide. There's no reason other than it's enjoying it.
Unless it's just an accident and they're just slipping down, you know. Right.
Yeah, they actually want to be at the top. They just keep sliding down. They find themselves at the bottom, and they think, here I am again.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Nick, you know, I know you were a vegetarian for 20 years, weren't you?
Yes.
So you say.
Right. Well, I did eat fish. Full disclosure, I ate fish.
Well, yeah, you weren't a vegetarian.
Well, fish are vegetables, aren't they?
No. I just want to know, what made you start eating meat again?
Well, I know I've said this many times, but so I'll say it again. I read an article from, I can't remember who it was, but it was a journalist in one of these magazines in a newspaper, and they said, I've been a vegetarian for 20 years and I can't remember why, so I decided to eat meat again. And I read that and I thought, oh yeah, I've been a vegetarian for 20 years, and the reason why is dim, distant memory. I'm going to try meat again, and so I did.
Oh, that's awful. I think you should stop and be a vegetarian again.
But you see, I think I've done my bit, because most people do not go vegetarian ever.
Well, I think you should.
20 years is not that bad, is it?
No, it's better than nothing, but to go back is not very good. So, what do you think?
Well, I have to say that when I first started eating meat, I can remember eating, I think it was probably, I can remember my first meal, and I know I've said this on the air many times. Having read that article, I think that day or the next day, I went to a restaurant, and it was a pricey place. So I had the prefix menu, which was the cheapest thing that they did, and it only had two choices for each course. And the starter was either soup or a thing that they called, it was in French, it called tête de veau sauce gribiche.
Oh yeah,
and I thought, I'll have that. It is translated. It is cow's face with a gooey sauce.
Oh my God!
It was as bad as I've just described. It was the worst dish I've ever eaten in my life, and it was the first meat meal I'd had in 20 years. Do you think it would put me off?
Yeah, I should have done.
It was thinly sliced cow's face. There's no other way of putting it. Yeah, it was God. It was like this gelatinous, thin slice of see-through, fatty blech. With a goopy sauce squirted all over it. It was awful.
It sounds it.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, dear.
But I do remember that when I had bacon for the first time in 20 years, I do recall like a surge going through me thinking, oh, yeah, this is what I've been missing.
Oh, no, that's terrible.
Sorry about that.
You let me down. Anyway, can I just say something else?
Yes.
I don't know whether you know this, but do you know that there's a photo of you for sale on Amazon? There is.
Right. How much?
And
I saw it about a fortnight ago.
Yeah.
I think it was about £29, and it's only a 6x4.
Right. Still for sale, is it? Gosh, I find that really hard to believe.
Well, it was a fortnight ago.
Right.
I haven't checked recently.
A photograph of me doing what?
We just, there. You're not doing anything. It's just, you're just looking into the camera.
Right.
It's just your face and
my face, my beautiful face.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds cheap at half the price.
£29.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the good news there, Jan. Now I know my worth. Thanks, Jan. Ta-ra.
Okay.
0345 6060 973. This tweet from Tom says, is it true that Nadeem Zahawi has got a second job as a bingo caller? Well, he does do good numbers.
If you do the numbers, so just really a couple of things. One, 500 and about 100 million, and of course, an additional £5.4 billion. Now, you've got to remember, one, 5 million already, and a number of almost 10,000, including 86%, 5 million, and of course, over 50%.
Okay, enough numbers. Ben in Weybridge says, I preemptively blocked Ed Sheeran on Spotify a few weeks ago by tapping "Don't play this artist." So there is no need to touch my phone while driving. Sorted. Always best to prevent something before it happens. Prevention is the best cure.
Rock and roll!
I think you'll find that is right. Thank you, Ed Sheeran. You have delighted us enough. 0345 6060 973. Hey, by the way, we put this show out as a podcast. We take the news and the ads out, which means that it takes less time to listen to, which means you'll use less electricity, and you won't have to sell a kidney to pay your fuel bill. It's called Nick Abbot The Whole Show. It's the Friday and Saturday night shows. We squirt them up the internet, and they are available on an internet. Have you seen the internet? Oh, the stuff you'll find on there.
Disgusting.
The internet, if it's available in your area, then ask for the podcast by name, Nick Abbot, The Whole Show.
Nick Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I just want to tell you all how happy I am to be back in the studio, making a picture again.
It's a radio show, dear. Keep up. 0345 6060 973. This anonymous message says, economic migrant loves the jobs you hate. Isn't that a household product? Email from Susan says, I think the perfect solution to the shortage of workers in abattoirs is to give these jobs to all the MPs who masterminded Brexit. It would serve to fill some of the vacancies, provide them with a second job if they want one, and hopefully it might even teach them a thing or two about the necessity of forward planning. Good idea there, Susan. Excellent work. John in Colchester on the same subject says, Nick, the pigs that are ill go to pig hospital and get well looked after until they get wrapped up in bedding, and then they become pigs in blankets. Oh, no. A listener with material.
Oh, no.
And this tweet from TJ says, it's like with executions. You have to be healthy so they can kill you. I think that's true, isn't it? In America, they don't kill you if you're ill. How ridiculous is that? Or if you're asleep. They wake you up to kill you. Wake up. Wakey, wakey. Time to die. Streatham. Hello, Joy.
Hello, Nick.
Joy.
Nick.
Yes, Joy.
Yes, Nick. How are you?
Great, mate.
Now, before I make my comment, I love the text regarding those who are responsible for Brexit being made to do work in abattoirs and do all the manual jobs that they hate.
Yes.
I think that's a brilliant idea.
Excellent idea, yeah.
This is your mess.
If they want to do a job, let them do that. Oh my God!
Yeah,
there I am. I've just found the photograph of me on the World Wide Wait. God, was I ever that young? Wow.
Yeah. And also, in regards to, I think there was a second person I wanted to respond to, but I've forgotten. But Streatham, there is absolutely nothing wrong with Streatham.
Streatham?
You're driving, yeah.
I drive through Streatham on various occasions, and I have to report, Joy, that there is something in the air in Streatham that makes people drive like they're berserk.
Maybe because some of them are losing their sight because they're old, and they're losing their grip, so they hold on tight to their wheel because they're old.
Because they're old? No,
yes.
That's
so
not
obviously, they've got to grip a little bit harder. The young people, they don't have to grip so hard.
No, that's
so
not
maybe, I think it's to do with their age. Or
No. It may have something to do with their age, but it's the opposite way around. I think that they're young and stupid, and think, because they're young and stupid, that nothing bad will ever happen to them. Morons.
I'll contest to that. Not because they're morons. It's just because they don't. As older people, we're more afraid. We see danger. Younger people are not the reason they can climb to the top of the tree, fall down, and not.
Right.
I watched a little boy ride his bicycle faster than a speeding car. He was just so, and I'm admiring him. And he didn't have his hands on the, what the hell do you call it?
Well, I see that all the time. Stupid moron kids on bicycles. And if they're not doing a wheelie down the road, then they're busy texting somebody or whatever it is that they're doing on their blooming phone.
They are, but that's because their brain can do 20 things in one go.
No, it can't. It can't. There's no such thing as being what's the phrase? Being able to do more than one thing at the same time. But
not when you're driving. I know. But when we watch what they do, I've shouted like a mother. Oh my God, please be careful. Oh my God, because I'm actually scared. I'm terrible. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't shouted back and say, hello, you're not my mother. You sound just like my mom.
Well, exactly. Don't shout at any kids. Warning. You're lucky to be alive there, Joy. All right, thanks a lot.
They do listen to me.
All right, well, okay. Cheers, my dear. What is it when, because people often ascribe this ability to women. They say, they're capable of doing more than one thing at the same time. What's the phrase? They can multitask. No, they cannot multitask. People can't do that. They pretend that they do, but what they actually are doing is shifting their attention very quickly from one thing to another. They're not concentrating on two things at the same time. We can't do that. And you're kidding yourself if you think you can. You're not paying attention to both things, only one at a time. You're just switching your attention very quickly. A vintage photo of Nick Abbot with a certificate of authenticity. From who? It's got a stamp and everything. At least they've spelt my name right. It comes with a certificate. But that is me. I remember that jacket and that jumper. In fact, I've still got that jumper. My God, my clothes are so old. I am an embarrassment. No, Nick, you're not an embarrassment. Why do you beat yourself up like that? Can I please get a bit of help here? Let's go to Cornwall. Hello, Angie.
Yes.
Angie. Yes, Angie.
Oh, right. Hi.
Hello, Angie.
Hello. I was just laughing about the animals that do things just to amuse themselves.
Yes.
Because I've got 3 stable cats, which
What's a stable?
Well, you get them from the Cats Protection. Ones
stable.
Ones that are feral and that have been caught wild.
Oh,
and, so they can't really live in a house.
They're not emotionally stable, but they used to live in a stable.
I don't know about that because I had 3 of them together. They were caught on Bodmin Moor by the famous Jamaica Inn. Anyway, that doesn't matter.
Okay.
But I had them beginning of this year, and I've called them. They're called Boris, Maggie, and Teresa. Anyway,
which is the worst behaved?
Well, Boris.
Yeah.
Wait a
That's what I would think. Yeah.
He's not the worst behaved. He's the the sissy. Oh no, I can't say that, can I?
Please disregard everything this nice lady just said.
He's the one that doesn't want to do anything.
It doesn't want to do anything. Yeah, that sounds exactly like Bodge.
Here we go. Okay.
I've got a lovely video of him. We came up the yard one morning, and we've got a children's little slide for my grandson in the barn, and he was happily climbing up the slidey bit and then whoosh down again.
There's something about slides. Animals they just are attracted to him. It's bizarre.
He was climbing up again and whooshing out, but
Angie,
backwards whooshing down.
You want to stick that video on the internet, and by this time next year you'll be a millionaire.
Perhaps I'll do that.
Right.
We've got some very funny ones.
Well, send me a link on the World Wide Wait. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, every other activity that an animal does, every other thing that it engages in, you can sort of think, yes, that's they're just practicing hunting behaviour. You know, in their tiny little doggy or catty mind, that's what they're doing when they play with, you know, balls of wool or whatever it might be, or they go chasing a ball, like a dog will chase a ball, or a frisbee, or something like that. That's hunting behaviour. That's that's their natural instincts. But where does their natural instincts come in when they're enjoying a slide? So they are actually having fun. What I find a bit bizarre is that the human race is actually doing quite well. Don't you think? Haven't we done well? We've evolved. I mean, we used to be troglodytes. We used to live in caves and have hair on our palms, and we used to grunt. Well, some people, of course, still do grunt. But we have, we stand up straight now, and we communicate using words, and we've invented iPhones and toasters, all sorts of things. Oh, the things that we've invented. Twin tub washing machines, if you can believe that. What's the animal kingdom invented? I mean, all the time that we've been going through all of these changes, and we've been inventing, the Industrial Revolution, and then the technological age, and IT, and all of this stuff. We've got cars that can drive themselves now, for crying out loud. And the smartest animal outside of us is an ape, and all they've got is a stick that they poke into a hole with and dig ants out. And that's it. Don't you find that a bit weird? That they haven't evolved at all, and we've just charged away. It's like they've been tethered to the starting line. Of course, if they did evolve and start speaking to each other and inventing tools and things like that, then we'd probably have to respond in a severe way. Yeah, because that's who we are. We didn't get to be number one on this planet because we're nice. We got to be number one on this planet because nothing else came close in aggression and viciousness. And, some animals could beat us in a fight. In fact, I would say that most animals could actually beat us in a fight. If a squirrel attacked you, you'd run away, wouldn't you? You wouldn't stand there and fight it. You'd be freaking out. A squirrel! Once animals figure out that we will run away and we will not put up a fight, then we're in big trouble, huge. Of course, some actually have, but not very many. Seagulls... They know that we are chicken, and that we won't. We won't even protect our chips. All it takes is, and they don't have to gang up on us. Just one seagull can steal our lunch, and we won't do anything about it other than flap our arms and scream and run away. If foxes figure that out, then they'll just be waiting for us outside the supermarket. And then we'll be in trouble.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello, boys.
Hang about, Nick. Listen. Now, what I'm trying to say to you is this, Nick, right?
I find this alarming. Some people find this comforting. I find it a bit alarming. Scotland Yard is to step up its high-tech efforts against crime by harvesting more data from Fitbit watches, smart speakers, doorbells, gaming devices, and coffee makers.
What?
An £11 million investment in digital forensics will also see, get ready, grip onto something firm, sat-navs, vehicle systems, and pacemakers routinely used to catch out lying suspects. You know, Met Commissioner Dame Cressida Dick? Yeah, that's her. She said, "This investment will allow us to maximise the potential of digital forensics, helping us to catch more criminals, speed up investigations, build more successful criminal investigations, reassure victims, and increase confidence in the justice process." Well, I'm sorry, but being shopped by your own doorbell and coffee machine isn't exactly filling me with reassurance and confidence. It's more like, it seems like we're living in 1984. And not the song by the Eurythmics.
Rock and roll!
How about you go through all of those burner phones that government ministers did exciting PPE contract negotiations were on? See what you can get from them. Internet-connected gadgets and laptops, smart speakers, doorbells, watches and mobile phones can hold data which is crucial to police investigations, apparently. Or, to put it another way, everything in your home is spying on you, recording everything you do, and Big Brother is watching your every move. Information downloaded from them can pinpoint what a suspect was doing at the time of an offence and prove if they are lying. Experts have highlighted the case of... See, this has already happened. Pacemakers. 59-year-old Ross Compton was facing arson and insurance fraud charges following a fire at his home in Ohio in 2016. The defendant claimed that he was woken by the fire, packed a case, broke a window and threw out the bag. However, information from his pacemaker enabled a cardiologist to tell police that his explanation was highly improbable based on his heart rate and cardiac rhythms at the time. Wow. He was dobbed in by his own heart. Chris Porter, the Met's Director of Forensic Services, said 39,000 phones and 5,000 devices have been analysed by officers in the past year. He said, with a pacemaker, you would be able to time any elevation in heart rate and activity, which may be relevant to the case, whether it's a suspect or a victim. Oh my God. What kind of a world are we living in? A centre of excellence called Laboratory Services has been set up to conduct the most complex investigations into damaged technology, audio and video devices. The unit aims to ensure that the force is ahead of criminals when it comes to advancement in technology. Hey, your doorbell may be spying on you, Bodge.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah. And here comes the legal bit. There is nothing to be afraid of if you've done nothing wrong. Things that are classed as wrong are subject to change depending on what mood Priti Patel is in. Saying negative things about the regime is not helpful. People that are not helpful may have their devices removed for analysis, including but not limited to phones, watches, teasmaids, doorbells, pacemakers, even if you are using them at the time. And remember, microphones are always on, even if they're off. And your phone is looking at you as often as you look at it.
Oh no!
Those forward-facing cameras. What have you been doing?
Disgusting.
A tweet from Joshua says, found the picture of you for sale on Amazon. It comes with a certificate of authenticity. Yeah, I've seen that. I do not remember having that photograph taken or ever being that young. This says, the text from regarding your photo on Amazon, this kind of rare image, this kind of rare images, that's wrong, isn't it? These, perhaps, kind of rare images are not only a great thing to own, but also a great investment. Own a piece of history with this great photography memorabilia. It's an investment. This tweet from Amanda says, they once woke me up to give me sleeping tablets in hospital. Well, that's nuts. If the thing about hospital is, if you're staying in there, why do they wake you up so early? What's the point of that? What's the thinking there? I mean, they say that a key to good health is a good night's sleep. Well, if that's true, why do they wake you up at 6 o'clock in the morning? And then do nothing. Like, if you're having a procedure and it's booked in at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they'll wake you up at 6 in the morning. Why? I've never been able to understand that. I mean, they say that, oh, well, that's when the doctor's rounds are. Yeah, okay, well, just make them later. I mean, I know doctors, and the hour they have to get up in the morning to get to a patient who's being dragged unwillingly out of sleep is ridiculous. If they just did it later, wouldn't that be better? Let people sleep in, no? But I am not a trained medical professional, so what do I know? Text from Anonymous, again. Instead of pushing them back out to sea, get them working in the abattoirs. Also get them to contact their mates in their countries of origin and invite them as well. That does seem to make sense, doesn't it? I mean, what have we got now? I don't know what the exact number is, so I'll make it up. 250,000 vacancies. Can you believe that?
Yes.
There's about 250,000 vacancies, there or thereabouts. All pretty much jobs that we don't want to do. We've decided we don't want to do them, and no amount of change in the circumstance of I can't think what the word is. I'm trying to get a grasp of inducements. Inducements. No amount of inducements will induce us to do those jobs, so they will remain undone. And farmers are going to have to burn pigs in pyres, and cows, and fruit will rot in fields, and vegetables will not get plucked, and all of the rest of it. And then we will rely on our nearest trading partner for our food, which, as we seem to be determined to pick a fight with Europe, is going to be New Zealand. You'd have to leave the planet to get further away. Here comes the information. The number of job vacancies in the United Kingdom reached a record high of 1.1 million in 3 months to September 2021. Over 500,000 more vacancies when compared to the same period in 2020. 1.1 million. Yeah, and the thing is that we don't have a long-term unemployment problem in this country. So the people aren't sitting around waiting for a job, sucking up our delicious welfare system. That's not happening. So all of those jobs ain't going to get done. Who could have predicted that when an army of willing workers were shooed out of the country, that it might have negative consequences for us? If only somebody had said something. Right, let's talk about Sweden. Sweden, and when this was this kicked off initially, I was lionising Sweden. Their approach seemed to be making much more sense than our approach, but then, our approach was led by the dear leader.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah, how's that app going, by the way?
Contact testing, tracing. Forgive me. Contact tracing.
Oh, give it up, Bodge. You're never going to get it. Only £57 billion. Still doesn't work. Sweden, which went its own way, now has the lowest COVID infection rate in Western Europe. Sweden, always so perfect. Double vaccinated Swedes were told that they do not have to test for the virus, even if they get symptoms. Sweden refused to lock down, you recall. They didn't do any of that. When the streets were empty, like a sci-fi film in this country, Swedes were still enjoying a hot hygge action with each other.
Disgusting.
Sweden refused to lock down and is currently recording 85.4 cases per million people. By comparison, Britain, under the able leadership of Bodger and his merry band of grasping pranksters, is reporting 500% more than that. Well done, Bodge. You're doing your best.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
The country that said no to restrictions or lockdowns or masks are doing better than we are. They got 85 cases per million. We have 581. Oh, my God. And we're doing worse than Germany and France and this is the big one, fewer cases per population, per size, than its Scandinavian neighbours, Sweden. Because people were always saying, oh, well, yeah, Sweden, yeah, they're doing that, but what about Denmark? And they started with the whataboutery. What about Denmark? What about Norway? And what about Finland? Sweden are doing better than all of those places. There is a but, though. Sweden is currently carrying out not many tests. Even Donald Trump figured out that if you don't do tests, then you don't get cases. I mean, you do get cases, but you just don't know about it. And if you don't know about it, you can pretend it's not happening. They're doing 1.26 tests per 1,000 people. That is the lowest number of tests in Western Europe. We're carrying out 12 times more. Austria is carrying out 47 times more. With the result that they said, and everybody's got to go inside again. So it's not the tests and the cases that is the thing. It's the deaths. And Sweden is performing considerably better than we are. And before anybody calls in to say, oh, well, that's because Sweden is very, very spread out. Nonsense. No, it isn't. They have fewer people than we do in this country. And they have a large landmass, but Swedes, just like everybody else on Earth, live in towns and cities. Of course they do. They're as squeezed together as we are. Deaths per head of population were about the same as the worst performing large country in Europe. We're right there at the top of the worst list. Sweden, right down, way down. Far, far fewer than we have. And as for at the moment, practically none at all. So they're obviously doing something right. Maybe their leadership is a serious and competent person. Wouldn't that be a revolutionary concept?
I can't comment on that.
We have by far the worst number of deaths in Europe, by the way. I mean, as just the total. But you would expect that, wouldn't you? As what with half as many deaths again as Germany. We have half as many deaths again as Germany, and yet Germany has 25 million more people than we do. We have had among the most severe lockdowns as well. We topped the COVID misery index. Plague Island, the New York Times called us.
Oh, fabulous.
In Sweden, meanwhile, Swedes refused to follow the rest of the world in shutting down society to curb the virus's spread. They said no, or whatever no is in Sweden. Nay? I don't know. They probably know. Get a Swede on the phone straight away. I mean it. They're not picking up? Unlike other European countries, it has never made face masks compulsory or enforced compulsory lockdowns. And if you think, well, at least our vaccine rollout is world-beating, well, you got that wrong too. It isn't. It might have been at the start, the vaccine rollout in this country, but it's a bit like calling the winner of a marathon after the first lap of the track. Too early. We leapt up onto the winner's podium just a bit too early. Sweden is in the middle of the road when it comes to vaccine uptake in Western Europe. 68.7% of the entire population of Sweden have had both vaccines for the virus, and that's more than we have. 67.5% double jabbed here. Spain, 80%, Netherlands, 73%, Austria, 63%, 63.9%. So we're among the worst in Europe now. How we managed to pull failure at the jaws of success, I don't know. But he always seems to find a way. It was going so well, and now we've been overtaken, left, right and centre. What Sweden did, which we didn't, was rely on its citizens to make the right choices during the first wave. That they did instead of locking down, using their hot, blonde, Swedish common sense. And to paraphrase the football commentator at the last thing that England won, we think it's all over. Well, it isn't now. Because Europe's in the midst of the biggest ever COVID wave. That really is alarming. I mean, there's been big waves before, but what's happening right now is the worst that they've had up to this point. Can you believe that? Austria is in lockdown. Ireland placed its hospitals on a war footing, imposed a nighttime curfew for hospitality. Routine operations have been cancelled. The Netherlands is on fire because the Dutch are revolting, and I don't just mean the way that they sound. They look great, but they sound like a cat coughing up. All that. The Netherlands just imposed a partial lockdown on bars and restaurants and shops. They all close at 8. There's a rule of 4 guests at a time in your home, and it all sounds like we're back on that roundabout. Except that in this country, I don't know whether we're kidding ourselves or we've come to accept 150 people dying a day is okay as a bottom line. But I do restate my case. If it was 150 people on a plane dying every day, well, that would be top of the news. They'd do something about it.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Shut up.
I can't. This text says N-E-J. N-E-J is no in Swedish. Pronounced nay. Says Caroline in Glasgow. Nay, as in...
No.
Negative.
No.
No. A text from Al says, I was in hospital years ago after having had a stroke. The nurses wake you up every hour to ask you where you are and who the Prime Minister is. To ask you where you are? Well, I'm here, in this bed. You just woke me up. Stupid question. Text from Simeon Epsom says, I was discharged from hospital this evening after having had a procedure yesterday. I couldn't sleep last night and I asked for a sleeping tablet at 2 a.m. I was told I should have asked for one at 8 p.m. when it was the medication round. I told them I had no idea I wouldn't be able to sleep. How did I know at 8 p.m. I would need one? Yeah. Huh. Well, you can't get a pill in a hospital unless it's 8 p.m. That's ridiculous. Text from Lee says, I saw on the telly today over 250 abandoned dinghies after the Channel crossing in Kent. Do you think I can have one? Says Lee. Where are you going, Lee? It's like tents. All those kids who go to Glastonbury, all those hippies that go to Glastonbury,
Yowza.
and they think that they're doing green things, man, and we're saving the planet. And then they leave about 100,000 tents in the mud for somebody else to pick up. They've convinced themselves that they're doing good because the tents will get redistributed to the third world. No, they won't. They go in a landfill. Take your tents with you and reuse them next year. The kids are such hypocrites. They really are. I mean, they pretend to be all green and saving the planet and, all of that Greta Thunberg stuff. They're just as bad as everybody else. Just as bad as the old folk that got us into this trouble in the first place. Kids are just as bad. They pretend that they're not. They convince themselves that they are busy saving the planet, but they're not. Just look at the clothes that they wear. Fast fashion is this may not be true, but even if it isn't, it doesn't prevent it from being a fact. Fast fashion is the second most polluting thing on Earth outside of fossil fuels. I think that's actually true. It's also just about the most wasteful. I mean, at least when we dig hot, fresh, delicious fossil fuels out of the ground, we use it all. But fast fashion is just so incredibly wasteful. It's staggering how wasteful it is. Kids go into a shop and they just want a packet of T-shirts, the 3 of them for £5, or a new jacket for £7, or a pair of trousers for £6. And of course they're rubbish. Of course they are. That's why they price them that way. And they wear them once, if at all, and then they throw them away. Don't tell me that old people are doing that, because they're not. the entire fast fashion business is predicated on the young. It's the kids that are doing that. Absolutely addicted to buying vast amounts of tat online. You see them queued up outside the post office. Huge, great big queues of people with gaffer-taped packages of clothes that they've ordered online that they've worn once and have got the nerve to send back and get their money back for them. And of course, when they send them back, the people on the other end, they don't put them back on the shelf. They don't resell them. They throw them away. You're kidding yourself when you think that if you send it back that they're going to resell them. Of course they won't. They throw them away. So just think about that, kids. Next time you're, donning your green credentials stenciled on the back of your cagoules, you're just as bad as the old. Worse, in fact. I mean, at least old people haven't got the nerve to stand out and yell about how the different age groups are ruining the planet. I don't know where that came from. And I apologise. No, I don't apologise. I'm completely correct in every respect. You're not helping, kids. You think you are, but you aren't. This text from Ian says, I used to clear up after Glastonbury. I got a wicked tent, thanks, and I once found $600 American in a baccy tin. Happy days. Blimey. Text from Lee says, oh no, I read that one. Text from Hannah. Did you see the papers? British travellers will have to pay a fee to enter EU countries from next year. European Union countries? No! Why would anybody want to go there? I mean, what's Italy got that you can't find in Clacton, for instance? Oh, tourism is... there was this big long article in CNN about tourism. Maybe it's a bit too late in the day to get into that. Apparently our tourism industry has fallen flat on its face. I mean, not just because of the virus, but partly because of Brexit. But the thing that twins us with every other country on earth is that we've all gone through the virus thing. So, that levels us all out. It's what then happens on top of that that defines how well you're doing. And we're doing really badly. But like I said, maybe it's a bit too late to get into that. Oh, I do want to finish that thing I was talking about Sweden, because it is kind of interesting what's happened there and how they have treated their citizenry and the results that they've had from it. And also there are rules about, the lockdown and distancing and masks, particularly masks. There's some conflicting information coming out. Well, there always has been, but it's interesting how Sweden has fared compared to the rest of the world and how they've treated this whole, the invisible menace all the way along. But I'll get to that in a bit. 0345 6060 973. Apart from the podcast of the Friday and Saturday shows and the one that I do with Carol McGiffin, there's also the podcast called The Nick Abbot Habit, which is of old shows. It's the best of old shows. And at the moment, I'm cutting clips from around about the period when we managed to escape our evil European socialist overlords. When we bunged a bob for Big Ben's bong. Yeah, our leader is as infantile as a person to come up with a phrase like that would be. That's what he actually said. Bung a bob for Big Ben's bong. God, how embarrassing. But anyway, we left the European Union, and the clips around that are very informative, because at the time that we left, of course, there was this invisible menace that we were just hearing about in China. China. And Trump was still around, and it didn't happen very long ago. It's only it's almost 2 years ago now. Not quite. But, it is a bit weird listening to those old shows. But they're funny. You know, it's like I pluck out the funny parts and stick them up the internet on a podcast called The Nick Abbot Habit. Ask for it by name on an internet near you, The Nick Abbot Habit, or just do an internet search on my name, Nick Abbot Podcasts, and the three that I do will become apparent.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
What in blazes goes on inside that head of yours?
Email from Jared says, might the high fatality rate in Britain be due to the poor general health level in the country? Well, I don't think we're unhealthier than anywhere else in Europe, are we? Isn't Portugal fatter than us? It's something bizarre like that. Some country that you wouldn't really associate with fatness. I think maybe it is. But, you know, you go to other places and we're not significantly worse health-wise than they are we? Not sure about that. This one says, I was in hospital with pancreatic cancer. They kept waking me up every half hour and asked me what the date was. I told them to buy a diary. Email from Kay says, I'm eating crisps, but I wish I had a pizza. Do they sell Christmas dinner pizza yet? Oh, that sounds horrible. What's on a Christmas dinner pizza? Whatever it is, I don't want it. It's a no from me. Oh. But the masks thing about Sweden, this is interesting. I mean, it's we might not have had to go through all of this, you know, last couple of years, being locked in for months and months and months, and all this misery, and all the businesses that shut down, and you know, all of that. Sweden didn't. They seem to be doing just fine. They don't have rules about masks, by the way. They never did. They've never had any rules about wearing masks in public. We did. We still do. But people aren't doing it anymore. And people aren't doing it anymore because Bodger isn't doing it anymore.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
He doesn't do it because he doesn't want to wear one while he gets his picture taken. That, and he doesn't want to be associated with the virus. That's why he doesn't wear one. Tell me that's not true. It's pathetic, really, but that's where we are. But in Sweden, they never really had any strict rules about wearing masks, and the only advice for people to wear masks was on public transport, and that was abandoned in July. And unlike in other countries, like I say, the coverings were never compulsory in Sweden. But oddly, this week we were told that mask wearing is the single best public health measure to stop the spread of COVID, other than vaccination. There is a but though, a giant wobbly but. It very much depends on what mask you wear and how you wear it. So, but they do say that if you do it right, when you've got the right mask on, then it reduces COVID transmission by 53%, masks. Social distancing was found to reduce COVID cases by 25%, and hand washing reduces COVID transmission by 53%. So that's 53% reduction in COVID rates with mask wearing, 53% in hand washing, and 25% with social distancing. So if you do them all together, you'll be 131% safe, maths fans. 131% safer. In England, people are still required to use masks in health and care settings. And that was the big story this week. You are required to use a mask in health and care settings. There's signs all over hospitals and care settings. And Bodger walked by all of them in order to get his picture taken without wearing one. The dear leader was on one of his tiresome photo opportunities where he pretends to bond with the little people, not leprechauns. And if you were in a photo with him, he will be the only person in shop not wearing a mask, because nothing is as important as the glorification of the bodge. Isn't that right, dear leader?
I can't comment on that.
It's a yes from him. It was comical that Johnson excused himself and then had his army of supplicants wheeled out to underline the message that he broke no rules when he went to that hospital, even though we know that he did. Do they really think that we're stupid enough to believe that what we know is false is true if they just repeat it enough? I mean, endangering the nurses and the doctors and the patients in hospital is one thing. I mean, they are the little people. Who cares about the little people? Hey, Bodge. And besides, he clapped for them last year for a few minutes a week. What more do they want? A pay rise? But what I can't get out of my head is how he sat, breathing heavily without a mask on, sitting next to the actual David Attenborough when he was at COP26. I mean, never mind about him falling asleep as a way to demonstrate his commitment to tackling climate change. He was endangering a national treasure. How can anyone have the nerve to put David Bloomin' Attenborough at risk just to feed their own vanity so they aren't wearing a mask when they get their photograph taken? Still, I bet he's probably doing his best. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
0345 6060 973. This says, how is the vaccine and booster rollout going? So far more than... Is this just information? All right. We don't require information. This is not an informative show.
Negative.
I hit the wrong one. Never mind. Little did a Christmas dinner pizza last year. This is more information. We don't require information. A text from Hannah says, did you see in the papers British... I've read that. Text from Chris says, I'm moving to the US and was wondering who are your favourite current American radio hosts. Well, I don't know any. Apart from Howard Stern. That's the only name I know, really. I mean, my favourite radio host of all time is Neil Rogers. I can check, but I do believe he's still dead. But his work is available on the internet. Ask for it by name. Neil Rogers used to do a show in Miami, and he's the reason that I'm doing this now. Because somebody sent me a cassette from Miami in about 1985, something like that, of this guy just tearing the airways up. And I thought, wow, that's what you can do on the radio. And from that moment on, I was hooked. Tweet from Tom says, is it true that Nadeem Zahawi has got a second job as a bingo caller? I'm pretty sure I read that too. Getting deja vu. And that one... this tweet from Benjamin says, no need to text and drive, just do what I do. Tow a carrier pigeon loft everywhere you go. Okay. Another anonymous text. Bodge is on the front page of a national Sunday paper this morning, caught again on a train without a mask. Oh, it is a photograph thing, and I'm sure it's in order to dissociate himself from the virus. That's got to be it. Because he's not a stupid man, so there's a reason why he does everything. And it's for his own benefit. So you have to think, well, how is he benefiting from this? From continuing to do something that he's getting criticism for? And the calculation must be that a photograph of him in a mask associates him with the virus. Also, you can't see his face. His beautiful face. It's PR, is what it is. Which is pretty alarming, really, that that we are being led by somebody who values their own PR over other people's lives. And there was a video of various people who were being asked on the tube why they weren't wearing a mask. And, I mean, I know it was probably edited to make it appear as though everybody was giving the same reason, but enough people gave this reason to make it a thing, and they said, well, the reason I'm not wearing it is because, you know, they're not wearing it in Parliament. Boris Johnson's not wearing it. The Tory benches aren't wearing it. That's the reason why. It's blooming obvious, really. Makes sense to me. Email from Gary in Croydon, maybe? Little did a Christmas dinner pizza last year. There was no meat, just veg, including the ubiquitous and sadly much hated Brussels sprouts. I like Brussels sprouts, even though they're from Brussels.
No!
Freedom sprouts, we should call them. He says, is this an unsolicited testimonial? Yeah, okay. I won't read the rest of it. He wasn't thoroughly delighted. He was not a completely satisfied customer. Well, sprouts on a pizza, that does sound like a very bad idea. I don't think there's any way that could actually work. Sprouts on a pizza. Yeah, I think for the first time in my life, I would have to say no to a pizza. Can you believe that?
No. This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Come on, we're running late.
A text from Nick says, I love your podcasts. They are the best thing with which to fall asleep. What? Can you advise if the ends of said shows are any good? Well, stick around for the end of this show because there is a story that just made my jaw drop that came out today. I mean, just when you thought they couldn't go any lower, they found a way. MPs, I mean, really. So I'll get to that in a minute. I couldn't quite believe it. The nerve is staggering. This tweet from Jason said, Boris not wearing a mask to distance himself from the virus reminds me of a manager I had who made us walk around in T-shirts when the boiler was broken to give the perception that it was warm in the middle of winter. That wouldn't really give me the perception that it was warm. That would give me the perception that it was freezing blooming cold. But never mind. That's just me, I expect. Selzy. Hello, Maxine.
Oh, hello, darling. I ain't spoken to you for ages.
Ages.
How are you, my love?
I am great, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. The last time I spoke to you, I had me pigeon out in the tree. You know, me baby pigeon.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
I have news.
Yes.
I have an African grey parrot, right?
A parrot?
Called George. Well, she's laid 4 eggs. They ain't going to hatch me, love, so I've got to try and get them out of the cage. I've managed to get one out, but I can't get the other 3 out.
Why not?
No, because she'll end up biting me.
Right.
She don't like me.
Well, yeah.
Very
Don't
vicious,
get
vicious.
in between a mother and her eggs.
Yeah, but they're not going to hatch.
How do you know that? Oh, well, of course it hasn't had...
Yeah, you know what I mean? You know,
parrot
the old
love.
bit of jiggery pokery. You know what I mean? Anyway, because I'm always very concerned about you at Christmas. Now, I do remember last Christmas, all you had was a pizza.
Yeah, that's what I like the best. Christmas pizza. Not a Christmas pizza with Christmas food on it, but, you know, an ordinary pizza at Christmas.
At Christmas.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mind if you want to come to my house for Christmas dinner.
Right.
I'm doing a pizza. But I can cook it for you.
Well, let me think about that. No.
What about... No. Now, what about a Christmas tree? Have you put a Christmas tree up yet?
No, not a Christmas
tree. Have you seen them up? They're up already. They were up a minute past
I think
the 5th
that,
of November.
Yeah, I think that this year, of all years, people who run businesses are really trying to get us in the mood to get us to spend a ton of money. And everything seemed to go up. I mean, it always seems to go up early, but this year it seemed particularly early, didn't it?
I know. The advent calendars were out for November. I've eaten all my chocolate. I've now got to go and buy a new advent calendar.
New one, right. You just couldn't help yourself.
Well, no. Now, so what are you doing? Are you working over Christmas,
Yes,
my love?
every single day from Christmas Eve to the 3rd of January.
Oh, no.
Yes, my favourite shows of the year.
As they say, it's good to talk and you don't stop talking, my love,
Well,
which is nice.
It's a talk show. Can't stop talking.
Now,
Can't hide behind music.
I have to tell you this.
Yeah.
Now, I phoned up for me jibby jabby, me booster. An hour and 3/4 I was on the phone for me jibby jabby for them to tell me we have an appointment.
Right.
Well, I was at work that day, so I couldn't go. So now, where are these walk-in centres where you can just go and have a jibby jabby booster done?
I've got no idea.
You can't. You have to get an appointment. So you spend an hour and 3/4 on the phone for your jibby jabby. Then when you go there, you can't get an appointment.
That seems.
All I want is me jibby jabby booster.
Right. Stop saying jibby jabby.
But that's what it is.
Yeah. I can't help you there, Maxine. Have you tried calling your Jeep? Oh, no, that probably wouldn't work either. You'd be on the phone for like 3 days before you get through.
Yeah.
That seems weird. I thought that they were calling you rather than you have to call them.
Me.
They texted you, right?
Well,
but
no, I've got to tell you this.
Yeah.
I've got to tell you this, right? I get an appointment for me flu jab, right? So I think, oh, here we go. And I was off that day. So I thought, right, I better phone them to make sure, let them know I am available. Because I'm a very busy lady.
Of course.
And I don't like to take up anybody else's appointments. So I phoned up and goes, I've got one of your text messages, one of many of the 47 on my phone. So she goes, I'm afraid we can't fit you in. We've run out of vaccine.
Great.
And I went, okay. So I goes, can you book me in another time? Yes, we can. The day before I was due to go for the first one, they sent me a message. Don't forget you have an appointment for your flu vaccine tomorrow. Well, I phoned them up because I was very confused because they sent me a message saying don't turn up.
Right, so they want you to turn up but not turn up.
Yeah, so I goes, am I coming there or not? I goes, because I'm very confused now. No.
They can probably give you an injection for that.
Well, no, I couldn't even get in for that one either, the nutty injection. I can't get in for one of them either.
Well, I don't know what to say.
They could fit the other half in,
right.
but not me.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to say, Maxine, but try and try again. How does that sound?
Well, it does sound good. Now, I've got another solution to your Christmas problem.
Right, go on then. I'll have to throw
Steve Allen.
I'll have to throw this story away because I haven't got any time to say it now, but go on.
Steve Allen, he puts up loads of Christmas trees in his house. He must have a very big house. I reckon you could go there for Christmas.
Oh, yeah. That's a no, too.
I love you anyway,
all right.
John.
Thanks a lot, Maxine. Cheers, my dear. Ta-da. All right, quickly. Just when you thought they couldn't get any lower, they find a way. Conservative MPs have pressed for the right to taxpayer-funded legal representation so they can defend themselves against sleaze allegations.
What?
Yeah, you heard that right. They want us to pay for them to hire lawyers to defend them from us. Ain't that great?
Oh, fabulous.
The Prime Minister heard pleas from colleagues in the 1922 Committee of Backbench MPs on the need for a fair appeals system. Some of the richest people in the land want us to pay their legal bills. I actually did homework. Can you believe that?
No.
I found that MPs are in the top 4% of earners in this country. I mean, that's just basic salary. That doesn't even count their pensions or their expenses, which have included renting a house while they rent out their main house. We pay for their rented house. They get their money on their main house. It's included hotels for their family, unlimited first-class travel, 25 grand on an office, 200,000 for whoever they choose to be their staff, which can be their actual husbands and wives. What? Or someone that they want to cheat on behind their husband and wives' backs.
Disgusting.
It is a cesspit of grasping chances. And their permanent fixed smirk tells you that they are getting away with it. And furthermore, that they think they are worth it because of their innate superiority and their genius and excellence in being themselves. And when they get caught out, they want us to pay for them to get expensive legal representation to wriggle out of it. Am I hallucinating, or is this real life? And at the 1922 committee meeting, MPs are understood to have argued that it would be unfair if people were unable to properly defend themselves because they couldn't find a lawyer that they could afford. And Johnson was said to be sympathetic to these calls. Yeah, I bet he is. Remind me how such a situation is for the little people. You know, if you or I wanted the state to provide legal aid, how much earnings would prevent us from getting any help? Actually, don't bother. I've done the homework on that as well. Can you believe it?
No.
$31,000 a year. If you earn more than £31,000 a year, you get no legal aid. Zero. This lot earn almost 3 times that, plus expenses. It's enough to make you think that there's one rule for us, dopes who pay taxes, and another rule for that lot, Bodge?
I can't comment on that.
But it's worse than that, because none of us little people could get legal assistance from the state if we were trying to defend a ruling in the workplace. Doesn't count. If you were caught fiddling your expenses at work and you got reprimanded, then you wouldn't get any help at all. But this lot want to break the rules, game the system, crawl through the loopholes in the knowledge that if they get caught, they can get us to pay for their legal costs to make it all go away. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
And separately, in an awkwardly timed update to the Register of Members' Interests, Sir Geoffrey Cox, the highest paid MP, has just revealed to have declared a further £55,000 in earnings for legal work. 55 grand for 45 hours work carried out in August. He earned twice the national average yearly wage of his constituents for 1 month's Brian Blessed impersonations. It takes his earnings from legal work over the past year to £1,093,243. That's compared with his £81,932 wage as an MP. Sir Cox, a QC, issued a defiant statement this week defending his work as a lawyer. It said, "I regularly work 70-hour weeks and always ensure that my casework..." How does he keep that up? "On behalf of my constituents is given primary importance." And then he went off to fight Ming the Merciless with Flash Gordon, all in a day's work. The Commons, of course, has backed moves to compel MPs to keep any outside work within reasonable limits, which is deliberately vague and utterly meaningless and won't make the slightest difference. I'm going to go to hospital now because I've got a problem with my throat. 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 Because I've got